Thanks very much, Sam. And praise be Jeff on this glorious day. We're here on April Fool's Day to bring you Group B's first match of Week 4. And of course, there's a lot to play for this time. Mosaic fighting to stay alive. Copenhagen Flames, they're just looking to secure themselves that third place position and make sure they reach that top 8.
It's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time that you find yourself in Week 4 rather than in Week 5 coming down to this, because the pressure in Week 5, you feel for any team that's in that kind of scenario where it's all or nothing in the final week, but it doesn't take away from the importance of today's game. Both of these teams, Mosaic, they looked a bit warmer last week than what they did in Week 1 and 2. Question is, has it come on a little bit too late? Flames looking very, very good, as the desk mentioned. Naga and Poppy have been looking great, and if they pop off the way today they have done previously, well, Mosaic will be sent home with their bags packing. Well,
it's especially important for Mosaic eSports this week because next week is the case of Jesus take the wheel, because they have to give it to their other two bottom of the half group, shall we say, teams to fight out for what could potentially be the last remaining available slot for them in Group B. So they really need to show up here, get those map wins under their belt, make sure they've got a good difference going into Week 5, because they've got one of the hardest opponents next week. They've got Eagle Gaming next week.
And that's never something nice to have in store. It's kind of weird, actually, that you see the start of Contenders for them, arguably against the easier teams being the losses, and now they're forced to try and pick up wins against those stronger teams. Even then, you're looking at next week, you've got teams like Young and Beautiful facing off against Bazooka Puppies. They're the two teams that Mosaic are trying to contend with, so it's going to be a very scrappy Week 5 either way. Very exciting if you're a fan, not so much if you're a player.
And now we're looking to jump into Ilio's. Lighthouse is the first map this round, and Mosaic eSports, oh, Spox he's playing a familiar character that Promise would have taught him on his time in Young and Beautiful. Wonder if they're going to be able to make this work, though, Des.
Very much so. I'm looking at that and thinking flexibility on the Mosaic side. On the other, Poppy is sticking once again on that tried and tested Tracer. This is all we see out of Poppy, and this is where I have some concerns around Copenhagen Flames, is the flexibility they bring. However, if it works, it works. There's no need to complain about it. Let's see how Naga does with this Pharah, though.
Yeah, I was going to mention that exactly. You've got the Pharah, you've got the Mercy combination. We see it a lot on Ilios, but especially on Copenhagen Flames. One of Naga's most highest performing heroes, and he's going to start to pepper the side of Mosaic eSports. They're looking to get some kind of traction on this payload. Getting those damage boosted rockets in. He's going to have to drop down and have a look at what's going on inside the point. There's a lot of skirmishing happening from the tanks. He needs to drop down, gets the D-Mech. It's actually Poppy Fresh who picks that one up. Mono, D-Mech's the opposing D.Va, gets the boop onto Marine Lord, sends him off the map, and Poppy Fresh takes out Christopher. He's now been grounded. Naga got hacked, and he immediately returns the kill onto Spox's. Back onto the point. Copenhagen Flames look very much in control of this.
And a bird's on the ground. He's quite easy to catch, and Fisher swoops in for that kill onto Naga. Quite back and forth between the two, and I've got to say for Mosaic for the longest time that was actually working out very nicely for them. Kodak playing, of course, on the Moira, very, very good at keeping those tanks alive through the constant rockets coming through from Naga. However, both DPS on the side of Flames have now got their ultimates available. Both support ultimates are about to come online too. Next fight looks like it's going to be going the Flames' way.
A lot of that can be shut down by the EMP from Spox's, though. He's about to get that himself. 97%. Looking for a hack to kick things off. He needs to get into the fray, throwing the transponder as a backup plan. There's the sound barrier coming out. He's immediately being forced back by the aggression of Chubbs on that Winston. 9 HP, no health pack. Gonna need to get some healing. There's the barrage straight in his face. Finds Mono. No one else. It's Fisher. We're going to shut that down very quickly. Heiko with the D-Mech. And now Copenhagen Flames, not on the point, but they're not letting Mosaic get there either.
Fisher's on Pharah hunting duty today, it feels like. Every single time that Naga gets anywhere near the ground, Fisher is basically on orders to get as close as he can and bring him down. Second fight in a row now won by Flames. Mosaic has completely turned the tables, though. They've got 5 ultimates online to play with.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge set piece from Mosaic. Nice flanking angle from Spox's. Wants to get behind him. He can hack Marine Lord here, shut him down maybe. Coalescence coming in for some reinforcements. Mono is the one who gets the shutdown onto Marine Lord. Now Chubbs, primal ranging in a confined space. Not looking good for Copenhagen Flames. They're trying to keep on to this fight. Self-destruct on the point. They're going to be another one flying out. They vacate the premises and come straight back in. Naga being closed out here a little bit as the EMP hopefully leveling everyone else down to their playing field. Copenhagen Flames still getting on the kill field. Even the suicide from Naga is appearing on there. So no kills coming in from Mosaic eSports just yet, but everything should have gone in their favor. Throwing the transponder up high, going for a drop hack. Chubbs still picking up those kills onto Fisher, and now Spox's. He's got nowhere to go. He's going to fall off the map. 90% and ticking. Copenhagen Flames are wiping the floor.
Flames played this incredibly well. Mosaic initially kicked everything off there with Danny's ultimate, but no one was really on point. And to be honest with you, what is there to force? You already hold the point, but they still managed to give it away, burn all their ults, and now Flames can wipe them out with that double kill from Naga.
The barrage into the choke that they knew Mosaic eSports would funnel through. It was the saving grace just to seal the deal. Last nail in the coffin, shall we say, from Copenhagen Flames, just to make sure they take Lighthouse We're going to jump into round 2. Scoreline, Copenhagen Flames 1, Mosaic 0.
It feels a bit bizarre, especially when you're trying to funnel all your members through one very, very narrow corridor against anything like a Reaper, like the Pharaoh we just saw then. Anything that's going to be able to do a lot of AoE damage in close vicinity especially is going to be really hard to push through. And well, we saw exactly what happened. A bit of a mistake I feel by Mosaic, but maybe on a bit of a panic because they were in the final few percent of that round. Didn't even manage to get anywhere near the point though because Flames had them on lockdown. Very, very dominating first round from Flames. Now we get to switch it out for seeing these Widows and Spox. We've complimented his Widow a ton in previous weeks, but he's up against Naga, one of the best in Contenders.
Hashtag WOTW. War of the Widows happening on the pile. You usually get excited for Dorado. We're going to see a little bit earlier on map 1. So nice angle from Naga, not able to capitalize on it just yet. Takes out the shot on Spock, says so. Immediately 1-0 over the Copenhagen Flames with that Widow war. Mosaic eSports, they're the ones on the point. Now Copenhagen Flames, they got the pick, but they need to start entrenching on position. Tridd on Christopher, Naga finds another pick onto Mono, and there's a D-mech on Danny. Mosaic eSports, they've got nothing to stay on this point and get the first cap.
You're relying so much on who has the Widow and who doesn't in these fights because those crucial picks, like bringing down the enemy Widow, what not only opens up a lot more zones that you can push into, it also means that you have free reign onto the supports when the enemy is stepping into the wrong area. It basically forces Mosaic to play incredibly defensively and only play at certain angles. Those angles really don't favor them, as you saw on Flames get the clear wipe.
Spoxes, he's really got to step up his game on this Widow. He knows he's going up against Naga. Gets a chip shot into the mech, takes a pop shot on Naga. He knows roughly where he is, but Naga can easily reposition. The skirmish, though, on the front line. Pulse Bomb, going to change it in the favor. A return from Fisher, going to level the playing field, but it's support for tank. Less healing, less tanking on both sides. Poppy Fresh gets a pick onto Mono, and now he's having to dance around with his Kodak with the tight little jab on Zenyatta as Naga takes out Fisher with a pop. There you go, gets another tag. No kills remaining yet. He's got the infosights available. He'll save it for the next push when everything gets re-engaged. Self-destruct on the point just to try and clear it out. Nearly being capped by Mosaic eSports. Christopher, he's good on that point. They get the cap, so their first percentage of Ilios is gained.
Still a relatively comfortable first point hold for Flames. They've still got 3 points to go as well. Here comes the Transcendence in right now, just a forced away, but equally matched by Marine Lord.
Marine Lord's going to have that a little bit longer, and you notice how Kodak left the point afterwards. He knew he couldn't keep up. There's Danny with the rocket boost to kill. Christopher gets taken out of the skies by Naga, and a Primal Rage onto Kodak, trying to reclaim the point. Copenhagen Flames, they've got the kill feed. Where's the percentage? Where's the map control? It's surely going to follow.
Definitely feels like it's more of a stall coming out, but even with Fisher falling down at the end, it was a very not so valiant stall effort, shall we say, coming out of him. We spoke a lot about these Tracers in previous weeks, and I think last week we actually gave some compliments to Fisher's Zarya that we saw. He was incredibly potent. However, Tracer leaving a little bit more to be desired, and it feels that way here against Poppy Fresh. He's doing exactly what he always does, playing Tracer and wrecking heads.
Well, it's like the analyst Des said, they can't match on the diving DPS. The Tracer specialist lacking for Mosaic eSports, really problematic. I say that, Fisher takes out Chubbs, and Naga on the Widowmaker returns on the Kodak, but Mosaic eSports, they're feeling a little bit more bloodthirsty this time. They take out Marine Lord with a nice Goomba Stomp. Danny answers the opposite opponent. They basically took out the mirror matchup for 3 times in a row from Mosaic eSports.
Mirror matchups is pretty much the summary of this game, and I've got to say, it's definitely less about the Widows than what I expected it to be. Both of them have been pretty quiet in fights. You see the occasional pick-off, maybe demeching a Diva. Beyond that, neither of them are having a huge impact. A lot of it this time round has been the focus on the Winstons, looking at Christopher and Chubbs, leading the charge, getting into the backline alongside the Tracers, and just causing havoc in the backline of the enemy team.
Well, they're fighting over the ramp yet again. Christopher getting pelted from both sides. Lightning and rockets clashing onto him. He's going to pop the Primal Rage and down south. Sound Barrier going to be a nice tune for him to follow. Immediately, Poppy Fresh gets the one clip onto Spoxes. Finds a nice angle there for him. And Naga takes out Kodak, giving him some reinforcements from the back line as he continues his dance of death. Now, looking for Christopher. He's incredibly low. Leaves the area of the health pack just to reposition and create some space. Naga going to take out Fisher. Heiko finishes off Christopher. There's a Discord orb on that Diva. She's definitely going to be going down now that she's out of her shell. Heiko, again, is going to get that final tap to get the kill.
So like I was saying, forget about the Widows. It's a lot of it's about the Tracers getting into the backline alongside the Winstons. Admittedly there, Poppy, while the fight was going on in his own defensive line, he sprung to the back and brought down both the support and the Widowmaker. And straight away, that long-range support, zone denial, all of it disappeared as soon as he got those couple of kills. So really smart play.
You see he's hiding behind, he's looking for the stick, throws it out, doesn't get it, might get the one clip. Nope, he's going to have to back out for the health pack. Still hasn't got that kill, but the bubble's going to protect him. As he dances forward, self-destruct. Going to clearly angle that we'd like to see happen on that ramp.
Oh, double
kill for Heiko. Spots is a Mono taken out of the fight. Dredro gets one for himself as well. Point control. in control of Copenhagen Flames. They're still on it. Even look at Naga going for the aggressive positioning because they know they've already won. Ilios going over to Copenhagen Flames.
Just feels a lot, again, down to the Tracer players in that game. Obviously, when he was the backline last time around with Naga, every single time he came down to the ground, Fisher was there. Wasn't really enough to win them the round. This time round, it was all Poppy's story getting in the backline, dropping down those pulse bombs and denying the backline any opportunity to have an impact. Basically went as we expected, I think. 2-0 to Flames. Mosaic still with a lot of work to do.
Well, the series is 1-0 to Copenhagen Flames. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see if they can lead 2-0 going into the half. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Europe. We're here bringing you map 2 of Copenhagen Flames versus Mosaic eSports. Now, we know Copenhagen Flames leading the series 1-0. If you're asking the analysts that we've got or anyone watching the games, not really a surprise at this point. It's on Mosaic eSports to bring up some changes.
It's like I said to you in the break, though, really surprising when we saw one fight, basically an exact mirror. Winston's engaging at the same time, D.Va's boosting at the same time, sound barriers coming out at the same time. It just shows that sometimes the small margin of advantage that Flames have, maybe in terms of mechanical skill and synergy, favoured them very much so.
We're on to Hollywood for our second map now. We've yet to see Mosaic play Hollywood. They've been on Barney every week so far, and Copenhagen Flames, they played it in week 1, and last time they had their matchup in week 3, and gotta say, competitive experience, that's going to give it over to Flames. However, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
I mean, you completely understand why Flames would try and choose this match. You speak about the second point an awful lot on what it can do for Widowmakers, sorry. I actually think it was last time Flames played, they managed to hold this point down for a solid 4.5 minutes. That in itself just kind of shows how willing teams are to sit down, entrench themselves in, and deny any kind of attack coming through. However, we spoke about Spox and his time on Young and Beautiful and what that did for his Sombra play. It might have a big impact on this round. Well,
I imagine we're going to see potentially the Trash Compactor coming in. You've got the setup. Instead of having that Soldier, you run the Junkrat, you put Mercy, you put a Zenyatta on him, let him just hide in the cafe. And when your team Mosaic eSports, will they get baited into the dive? Will they commit to it? And then get counter-dived by Chubbs and Heiko on the D.Va and the Winston.
Always what we see. Generally, it's either, like you say, the Soldier or the Junk that we see getting put inside Cafe, and it's just super hard to do any kind of dive in. The one big thing this requires to work, though, is a very, very synergized frontline tank setup. So you need your Winston and your D.Va to be ready to go at any given time. If they jump in somewhere else, or if they engage onto someone, that is generally the go sign for Mosaic to go for the dive. Say, for example, Heiko goes for the boost onto the high ground here. That way, he cannot afford to get back into defend, and they find themselves in a spot of hot bother.
Chubbs and Heiko haven't really popped off as necessarily star players, the Flames lineup. You can't question the synergy they've had. They seem to be quite on point with working together, and you can say that about Copenhagen Flames. I don't really we've seen any misplays from them in their entirety in terms of their team cohesion. So if they were looking to pull off that strategy, I think they've got all the tools they need to do it.
Fingers crossed. Let's see how Mosaic choose to play this one out. The attacking Sombra, a bit of a surprise, and honestly, I expected something like a Junkrat to come through for themselves or something just to get them onto the high ground. We've seen things like Genjis in the past. The Junkrat, we've seen once or twice because of the boost trying to get on the high ground and just causing calamity in the cafe is a good start. However, opting to go more for the Sombra and the Tracer. This is one of the strongest frontline flanking duos you can have. Well, flanking frontline duos, you should say. And here comes the dive.
Here comes the dive. They immediately jump back out of it, though. They knew Heiko and Chubbs were going to go in there. They're not falling into the trash compactor just yet. As Fisher going to be rolling from the outside. Danny gets a kill onto Naga. Both DPS are down for the Copenhagen Flames. Very strong push from Mosaic. They're taking out more options, though. They need to get the tank. They need to get the support. Pulse Bomb coming out. Marine Lord gets shut down by Mosaic. They've wiped him entirely. Clean take by Mosaic.
The reason they go for this style of dive is you don't necessarily want to pile in there and take over Cafe itself. You just want to force the Junkrat back, and by doing that, you then have full control of the point. They cannot jump on top of you because you're holding both usually one member on the high ground, everyone else on the point. That forces the defending side to panic and have to try and make an action. Naga, goodbye.
Fisher knew that was going to happen. You could see him riding the elevator up. He knew there was going to be a Widow setup, ready perfectly to shut down Naga. Dredro going to get the resurrection, so he needs to find an option to keep them under pressure because we don't want Naga set up, getting these long sight lines on this Widowmaker and shutting down Mosaic.
Well, here they go for the full dive once again. We saw this a lot against Naga last week, trying to deny him on this high ground.
Yeah, and Fisher just going to roll around again. The Coalescence was pop. Double pulse bomb for Poppy onto Danny and Kodak. And Heiko going to find Spoxes, so they're shutting down. They're not going to let the momentum roll over them onto phase 2 of this map.
It's the problem you always find when you've got something like the Zenyatta on side, or in this case, there's no Zenyatta, so I'm talking total rubbish. He swapped over. With the Lucio, at least he can join you on the high ground. I was going to say it's the threat in the back line that they'll bring to you. You send all your members up. Someone like a Moira is stuck on the low ground. Tracer, she can't get up there unless she comes from the roof on the other side. So it's a bit of a, it's a very scrappy affair because you will often see the counter dive coming in from Flames just to try and deny any kind of follow-up. And if the heals aren't there, well, good luck to your tanks trying to bring down the front line.
Well, damage-boosted Widow going to have to reposition because that pressure from Fisher is here yet again. Immediately, he jumps up to where he thinks it's safe, and Christopher is in his face again. Chubbs finding Spoxes. Marine Lord not going to be dived on by Fisher, and Poppy Fresh finds Kodak. So the dive going a little bit wary for Mosaic, but Copenhagen Flames, they nail it.
Poppy doing exactly what he was meant to there, as we said, getting into the back line, bringing down the supports when everyone else goes for the dive in. Really, really good focus from him, and this is a very sensible strategy to play. Everyone piles in onto your Widowmaker, everyone commits all their movement abilities, everything along those lines to get up there. Suddenly you're going to find your back line falling apart. Now you're looking maybe for Mosaic here, they've got to try and make this work somehow. Their idea, maybe, this is the third time in a row they've failed against Naga, just try and go for a fight. Maybe try and bring down the tanks to the front line first, so they cannot counter dive onto the Widow.
Bit of a stagger coming out when they took out Danny at the end there. And Spoxes, he's sitting on that EMP. He might be able to bring that catalyst to kick things off for Copenhagen Flames, but they're well aware of where he is. Infrasight available. Fisher, he falls straight for the trap. And he's going to be staggered, forcing out Mosaic eSports to waste even more time.
You can see why Flames are so good at stalling the second point, though. The constant balance of aggression that they have coming through. You aggress onto us, we're going to come back and come at you with twice as much aggression. And the pickoffs like this from Naga do more than enough to stall it for them.
With Kodak being taken out, there's a hack onto Naga. He can't reposition. They need to capitalize on this now. He's being pocketed by Dredro. The healing's not enough, so they've taken out one of the main damage threats. EMP coming in as well for them. Going to hack off Chubbs, not let him reposition as well. But despite what looked like a strong initiation from Mosaic eSports, Copenhagen Flames, they push them back yet again.
Didn't really have to bring too much down there. Just bringing Danny down was enough to force Mosaic all the way back. And Spox is finally gone, you know what? This double flanking is not working. It's time to switch out and try and match him head for head. Didn't work too well in our first map. Maybe here, though, War of the Widows can really come into effect, and it's not more of a one-sided slaughter.
Slightly more open, so not enough sort of micro movements behind terrain to keep himself safe. Going to grapple hook up. Not landed a shot yet, but he really needs to make sure he's hitting those marks. Poppy Fresh, in the meantime, finds Mono. That's the go button for Copenhagen Flames. It's forcing a counter dive movement for Mosaic, and no one's helping out Kodak. He's just left the fend for himself while Poppy Fresh runs over him. Long range, nearly getting Spoxes. No support for him, so he's going to get railed as well. One more for Poppy Fresh. Hits out Fisher. What are you doing, Mosaic?
I think Kodak missed the memo there that the retreat call was given, and no, everyone else fell back, and he was left entirely on his own on the wrong side of the gate. If he tried to fall back there, he would have died no matter which way he tried to go. So it was a bit of a rough situation, but Poppy still abusing these small mistakes being made by Mosaic.
They're going to try and take a different route, wrap around the back of the general store rather than force down the main street. Hopefully get a reposition coming out from Naga, make him not as comfortable on this Widowmaker. Spox is on the Genji now, so they are going to try and contest the dive by doubling down onto it. Marine Lord is the first target. He's getting healed by Mercy will go down to the Rockets. Spoxes finds Naga in the reposition now. Just needs to get rid of that Diva mech. Hopefully shut it down. Self-destruct into the air. Needs to find cover. Mono still caught out by it. Remech coming into Heiko onto the payload. Tridd going to bring Naga back into the fight now that the dust has settled in that action area. Still chasing down the supports. Tridd, he's got a Discord orb on him. He's got 2 DPS. They haven't been able to take him out just yet, but Fisher will finally nail it. Cleaning up, so a return tracer play from Mosaic eSports.
Changing over to go full dive and literally throwing the kitchen sink at Naga seemed to be the go-to plan. He will switch off now and go to the Genji, aware, of course, that Widowmaker isn't fantastic on that third point. Yes, you've got one nice big long angle, but there are just far too many areas to hide, and you don't have the safety of the rooftop like you do on the second point.
Spox is 65% on that Dragon Blade. Going to have it available for the next fight. He plays his shurikens right. They're all forcing Mosaic eSports to try and fight around this avenue as Copenhagen Flames need to get out. They're using the Transcendence early just to make sure they can get onto the playing field. Spox is incredibly low. He's going to get that healing. All of Harmony from Kodak coming in. Naga left isolated on that Genji. 90% on the blade for Spoxes. Needs to find someone to dive onto. Self-destruct in the air. No one to be found. Christopher takes out Marine Lord. And the Copenhagen Flames, it's like the coin flip coming out. They've just absolutely crumbled, and Mosaic eSport coming out very much more composed.
Imagine Flames falling apart when Naga isn't on the Widowmaker on second point. That's why we keep on saying they play it so aggressively. Fisher even chases straight back down and shuts him down, so Naga is not having a fun time on this Genji so far. He is 100% the focus of Mosaic.
Smart Fisher to capitalize on the spawn difference. Obviously, if you spawn before the point's captured, you're in the forward position. If you spawn afterwards, you're right back at the beginning. Fisher capitalizing on that beautifully.
And look at the combo coming up for Mosaic. They've almost got the Trans Blade coming through. You pop the Trans, you charge forward along with the Genji. Nothing can bring him down because the healing you come through, unless there is some serious focus, you are not going to be able to burn him out of that Transcendence in the first place.
And Marine Lord, he's still far off it. He's going to be the first target. Make sure he doesn't get that. Self-destruct into the air, clear the payload.
Whoops.
Tridd going to take out Spox as a Poppy Fresh. Shuts down Christopher. Payload still in motion. 4 members on it. 1 minute remaining. Here's Chubbs jumping back onto the payload. Very low for Fisher. He's going to get healed up straight away. Nearly got that Primal Rage for the stall. Still making them ride the lightning. He's stuck, jumping into the backline. Forced out the Primal Rage early. Naga finds Fisher in the chaos on this Genji. And now Chubbs, 300 HP. He needs some healing from somewhere. He's about to go down. Jumps to safety. Discord Orb wasn't enough to guarantee the kill. Copenhagen Flames back in control of the payload.
Spox going on that one-man mission with the Genji Blade may actually have cost them this final point here. They've still got 3 ultimates to play with, but Fisher equally has blown the Pulse Bomb entirely on his own when the team wasn't around and they weren't pushing together. These DPS have triggered ults at the wrong time, and this feels like they're going to lose that really sharp edge that could have won them the third point.
Problem is, if Naga pops that Dragon Blade, they've got Kodak's Transcendence to keep everyone alive and shut that down. What they can't shut down is the self-destruct. Heiko finds a kill onto Christopher. One less tank, can't use the bubble. Sound Barrier coming up for Copenhagen Flames. Naga still sitting on this blade. Now he pops it, the Transcendence is down. Immediately takes out Mono, dives onto the backline. There's not many targets left as the rest of Copenhagen Flames have run over Mosaic eSports. They're going to shut them down just shy of completion.
What can I say? This is how you do it, boys. Mosaic being shown by the Flames how to train all these combos together. You've got the burst prevention from Tridd. You've got, of course, the Transcendence coming out as well. Everything works in Flames' favor. They wipe out this final fight. Mosaic, they'll be kicking themselves about the strategy going into that final fight. Bit of a misplay for them, but they managed to get themselves at least to 2 3/4. Not the worst performance in the world.
It wasn't composition. It wasn't mechanical skill. It was coordinating the set pieces that really let Mosaic down on that final push. And it was more evident through Spox's, but the rest of the team, that's a team problem, not Spox's.
I think it was either a missed call from the team. Of course, we're not 100% sure who is going to be telling Mosaic when to go in and go for these sort of plays. Spox may have just gone, I'm going in, boys, brings out the blade, and then falls flat pretty quickly. Admittedly, a good defensive ult coming out of Heiko, though. It was that denial from the self-destruct, which ended up meaning he went down there and had 0 impact. Fisher ulted about 25 seconds later. Then the supports popped their ults in a later fight about 50 seconds later. And before you know it, Flames are like, well, this is easy. Bang. Well, easy round win.
Mosaic eSports, if they've got some decent ult tracking, which I hope they do, they would have been able to keep an eye on Naga and say, right, this guy probably has Dragon Blade right now. Why are you popping the Transcendence a little bit too early, knowing you're opening yourself for that Dragon Blade to come through and cut through your team and allow that to be the go button for Copenhagen Flames? It feels like Copenhagen Flames just forced their hand, made an error. It's a forced error coming out on the side of Mosaic.
A forced error or more a forced hand, I think, in some cases. Like it's so easy to sit there and go, well, you should have saved Trans, but the actual situation at the time was if he gets popped out and gets melted down, you find yourself in so much trouble. You lose that fight, you lose the Trans. If your Zen dies and you lose the Trans, that's the fight basically over. He could have either taken the kill or taken the death and just gone, right, you go for a reset here, it's not going to work out the way we want. But when you're under such a time pressure cooker like that, 45 seconds left in the round, mistakes are going to be made, you're going to get pressured out, and you will lose the round.
Where Mosaic went for a more methodical dive, shall we say, not the direct, we're just going to jump straight at you. Copenhagen Flames, they're very confident doing it themselves. Poppy Fresh, Naga, Tracer, and Genji seems to be the answer for them. Mosaic eSports still sticking with the Sombra on Spoxes.
This is really interesting because this is kind of a half tank setup, half counter dive sort of style they've gone through here. Again, going for Spox and Fisher onto that Tracer and the Sombra. They want to get into the flanks once more, bring down the supports in the back line, and just prevent Flames from ever really setting up any kind of structure to go for a push.
They've already got through the choke, so Mosaic eSports are giving them that much. You can see Spox is on the high ground, getting focused out, going to translocate to safety. Knows he can't keep up in that frontline position. They're wrapping around to the back of the building, trying to get themselves onto the point. Hack nearly coming out, but Chubbs will go down regardless. Fisher working his duo. Naga shut down the hacks. The cybernetics are not being shut down today. Needs to dash away. Can't stay in the front of Christopher. They're going to regroup, be a little bit more patient on this push.
No need to panic, I think, as well, but Spox will come back in time. They're going to force the fight either way here, Tridd.
Yeah, Mosaic eSports jumping straight in, capitalizing on that patience, not allowing anything to be taken. While this is going on, someone's on the point. They've already got a third of it. Who is it? I believe it was Poppy Fresh just capping while the rest of his team died.
Very much so. So a smart move from Poppy, you would argue. Mosaic already take 3 immediate kills there. Very, very risky to go for that 5 versus 6, though, in the hope that it would pay off. It did. It's always worth taking those risks when you feel that there's a good chance of success. At least forcing them into a very small corridor, always going to pay off, at least in that sense. Now, Flames going to try the same thing once again, sneaking around to the left. They have hold of the Coalescence, and they have a couple more ultimates about to come online.
Pulse Bomb going to zone off Tridd, so they're missing one support. Coalescence right down the alleyway. All of them are getting hit by the beam of life and death. Being answered on the side of Marine Lord. Still, Chubbs jumping into the back line. Spoxes shutting down Moira, so there's no healing on the side of Copenhagen Flames. Chubbs diving back into the fray. Pulse Bomb should demech Mosaic eSports Diva. As Spoxes and Fisher, they get a demech of their own. Naga going in with the blade, maybe a little bit too late. Kodak, first victim. Christopher, second. Can he become a serial killer? I don't think he can.
I was always on the side there of thinking that wasn't a worthwhile blade. You could have saved that for the next fight when you had your members back. Popping it when you've lost 3 or 4 members. Bit of a risk. You could argue you have the defender's spawn advantage, so you'll be able to reinforce the point quicker and force Mosaic away. But Mosaic are starting to get back onto this point already, and they've got 2 ultimates. There's the EMP and the Pulse Bomb.
Sound barrier and the EMP to shut everything down. Spox is leading the charge as Mono gets a kill for his own. Christopher diving forward onto Dezachu. Yet again, he's going to fall down. Naga also falls. So, Mosaic eSports, with 1 minute 40 on the clock, they've really whittled down the time that Copenhagen Flames has to get a mark on this map.
Yeah, definitely a mistake out of Naga. So both sides equally in the last couple of rounds have made mistakes on their rounds, you might say. Flames, the minute and a half. Mosaic caught this incredibly quickly on their attacking round. Flames now, they're going to start feeling that pressure we were speaking about last round. They have ultimates coming online, but they're missing that crucial blade, which they really need from Naga.
You can see Fisher repositioning to get back to the point. He wanted a flank angle. Here's the Coalescence forcing out the sound barrier. Pulse Bomb onto multiple members of the Mosaic eSports team. Here is the full dive from Copenhagen Flames onto the payload. Mono, there's a demech. Look at the Poppy Fresh going for a duel. It doesn't matter as Dezachu, Chubbs getting those kills. Mosaic eSports, they've not got the bodies on the point. This is surely going to go over to the Copenhagen Flames.
Much, much better stuff from the Flames. Still ongoing, of course, turning up the final couple of members, but they will cap it with 50 seconds to go. Big one that time round felt a lot more like Team Synergy. Mosaic panicked slightly when Poppy's Pulse Bomb went off onto most of the tanks. Especially on Danny, I think it was stuck too. There was still a lot of damage that got passed onto Chris. And from there, they were like, well, we've got to pull back now. That was the go sign for Flames. That front line was down. It was on about 100 HP total. Everyone piles in. Nice and clean win for them. So well played by Poppy there to get that big playoff.
It's the flimsy garden fence rather than the wall. The wind could just knock it over at that point. Mosaic eSports with the blade up high, looking for the right moment to strike. Just going to whittle them down even more. Can find space. It's perfect for Naga. Can't find anyone though. Disappointing blade. He's going to try and get the exposed Diva. She jumps out. Even misses that because Poppy Fresh beats him to the punch. And now Fisher going to get cut down. So without the blade and more of the dash, Naga finally finds himself a kill. But Copenhagen Flames keep the payload in motion.
On their way through the streets of the Wild West right now. No Widowmakers coming out this time, though, quite surprising for both sides. Just wanted to stick with what they've got. I think for Mosaic especially, look at this and go, we know we're losing these Widow duels, so let's stick on what we know works. We have control of the high ground if we want it. However, the EMP is available for them if they want to pop it. There it is.
Going through the saloon. EMP to lock everyone down, keep them on ground level. Fisher and Spoxes find the support back line. They're doing the job they need to. Heiko, weird the self-destruct onto Christopher. Poppy Fresh got that Pulse Bomb available, but the fight's pretty much over. Here they go, they're turning it around. Naga pops off, finds the DPS duo from Mosaic. That's Fisher and Spoxes off the map. Coalescence giving the breather for Mosaic eSports. The payload should get moving in a second. They only need to find 2 more bodies, and it's really only finding Kodak. Pulse Bomb onto the mech, shuts him down. There's a bubble, not enough. They're going to have to dash back, self-destruct. Won't find anyone as Danny gets the D-Mech onto Heiko. They're still looking for a hack. Mosaic eSports, they've had enough time to get back onto the payload. They're forcing the flames back.
Much better. So an aggressive flare from Mosaic will push back and win that point. For all we say about Danny being quite a defensive diva, he is going hard right now. He's pushing back all the way through gates to try and force them away. But holding out this position, good for Mosaic. This is what we saw from Flames the last time round. Very controlling. However, the payload is quite close to second point. So realistically, you're looking for Mosaic maybe one more fight and then a half-stack fight if they lose this next one. Blade isn't too far away coming from Naga, and they've got 3 other ultimates to play with.
If you're looking at how Fisher's been playing this Tracer, do you make the argument that he is definitely stepped up to the role as dedicated Tracer? See what he can do in this next fight. Sound Barrier coming out. Heiko gonna shut down Christopher. Here's Naga with a blade. Make it more impactful than the last one, my friend. Finds that Kodak. Will not get the kills. He seems to slip away from him. Heiko doing all the work. Here's Naga. Again, no blade, but the dash to get the kill. Poppy Fresh onto Mono to seal the deal.
It feels like it's more of a decorative blade at this point. He pulls it out to go, I'm about to start war on you. As soon as this blade goes away, you will die. We were speaking about the redemption art for Mosaic last week. This is very much one of the cliche. Put the sword back in the holster, everyone dies. End of story. It's the 2nd or 3rd time in a row now where he's actually picked up kills with the dashes rather than the actual blade itself.
Misses the pulse bomb. Sound Barrier comes out anyway to keep him alive. Spoxes finds Tridd, Coalescence running down the street. Poppy Fresh going for a duel. You can hear hacks happening somewhere. Self-destruct. Drops to the ground. No one to be found. Heiko onto that payload. He's fighting with Danny. They're really getting in their face. The D-Mech's going to come out. Here's an EMP from Spoxes to make sure everyone gets back to where they were. Poppy Fresh finds Kodak. Danny, Mono, they're getting kills of their own. 8 seconds remaining. This would have been the final push for Copenhagen Flames. Can they maybe stall it out long enough? It's the self-destruct. Going to deny him on the point. Dash, run for your life, Poppy Fresh. Get on that payload. Stall it out. 2 HP. Recalls back. Needs to jump back on there. Overtime. Naga cuts through Spoxes. Christopher gets him to die. And now there's no one left from Copenhagen Flames. Mosaic eSports, they didn't complete, but they're still going to take Hollywood.
We were speaking about Flames' proficiency at holding this second point. Well, there's a new team I look at now when I think of efficient second point holds. Mosaic doing the work to hold it out. Very, very risky, I felt, sticking to the Tracer and the Sombra for so long, but ultimately, well, they held out really, really well. The hacks as they go for the full dive. This is Copenhagen Flames. Hack down one of the tanks, lessens the dive, everything goes their way. Really well played by them.
I was going to touch on a question I asked you during the cast, Des. Do you think Fisher has now stepped into that Tracer role? Is he strong enough to contend with the other Tracers in the group based off of that Hollywood performance?
It felt like first map, no, but definitely towards the second map he started doing more. Poppy was still in the backline, I felt, doing more level harassment, but Fisher was definitely getting himself in the kill feed more often. That's what you need to see from your Tracer players, right?
Exactly. Well, we're going to jump to a quick break, then we're going to have our analysts break down. It's Copenhagen Flames and Mosaic eSports tied at the half.